And welcome. It's time for hockey. Flyers Rangers tonight. It's Brian Smith. I'm Jason Myrtetus. We're going to start you off here on the stream and on Flyers 24/7. Then we're going to join our radio partner around 10 of. That will be 93.3 WMMR tonight. That's where you can hear the broadcast. Rye, you ready for hockey? It's been
it's been a minute, hasn't it? It's
good to see that they'll be back. Yeah.
There you are. Sorry, you froze and then you started talking really quickly, and now I got you back, so we're good to go. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, it's it really is kind of remarkable how when we get a schedule, we just are just used to it happening, and then all of a sudden a game gets postponed, and you're just like, what, what do we do now? Like it really kind of puts you off your stride a little bit. The Flyers did get a little bit of extra rest, which, I was torn as to whether I was happy about that postponement or not. The circumstances notwithstanding, you don't want anybody to have COVID, but on the one hand, the Flyers aren't any good right now, and you'd like to reschedule that game sometime maybe when they are good. But on the other hand, that might have been a pretty good dose of medicine for them to play the Islanders right now, because the Islanders are worse. So I'm not sure, but regardless, you can't do anything about it. So it's just jumping right back in here to 3-3 against three really good teams in the Rangers, Tampa, and Colorado coming up.
All three of those teams, by the way, 7-2-1 in their last 10 games. Identical records over that period. I mean, the Rangers have rattled off not only wins, but over good teams. I mean, they beat Florida, Columbus, New Jersey in the shootout, and then Montreal. Then they lost to Toronto. Then they beat Buffalo, the Islanders, and Boston. Islanders and Boston were both on. They were scheduled to play. They had a game postponed that was supposed to take place against Ottawa and also against the Islanders on Sunday. But it's the Flyers and the Rangers tonight. We know the Flyers are mired right now in this 6-game losing skid. And it's got to end at some point. And I can't think of a better time than now, Bri, against a team that last year frankly embarrassed them a couple of times, 9-0, and the following game 8-3.
I knew that Mika Zibanejad had a good series against the Flyers last year. I did not realize that he scored 18 points in 8 games last year. 7 goals, 11 assists. It's astonishing. I mean,
he wasn't having a great year prior to that.
Yeah, I mean, he scored. Excuse me again. He had scored 8 points in his career against the Flyers before last season. And then he goes out and he gets 18. I mean, we knew he had so many goals, but you didn't realize how many assists he had in that run. So yeah, it is kind of funny how everything's so close right now in this league, and the regular season probably means more in the NHL than any other league really at this point. But it's also it's because it's so close, it's becoming a little bit obnoxious how much of a crapshoot it is on when you catch teams. Like if you roll along and you have really bad luck and you catch 3 teams like this when they're 7-2 and whatever you said, 1 in their last 10, that's not insignificant, because the Flyers had to play Florida twice when they were doing really well, and now they're cooling off, and then you go up and the Avalanche didn't have a great start, but now they're figuring it out, and the Flyers get to run them just in time. So I suppose it balances out over the course of a season. I don't know if anybody's looking at this from an analytics perspective, but it's not insignificant as far as catching teams when they're hot versus when they're cold.
Yeah, but I've always said that in sports, it's not always about who you play, it's when you play them. If you catch a team on the third game of 3 and 4 days, it's significant. And, the Rangers and Zibanejad this year, 20 games, 4 goals, 12 assists. He's got 16 points. He's 4th in scoring on the team. Adam Fox is leading the way, the Norris Trophy winner, and that huge contract that he signed. He'll be buying dinner. 4 goals, 17 assists. Panarin up there as well, over a point per game, 21 points as well, 5 goals, 16. But leading the way in goals is a guy that, when you watch him play and he's dominant and he's playing the way he is right now, Chris Kreider, he's got 15 goals and 3 assists. You always go, man, if he could just sustain that level. He's never been able to, but you see the freak skills that he has and the physical specimen that he is. And this year he's putting it together. I mean,
Sorry, I got that freeze again. I don't know what that is. Every now and then you just you just go blank for a second. I'm not sure. I don't want to step on you. What I was going to say there though about Kreider, he's got a 25% shooting percentage right now. That is astronomical. So when you talk about sustainability, that's what I'm looking at. That
one of every four shots.
That's a number that you don't necessarily see continue for a whole season. I mean, if it did, that'd be astonishing. But I've always appreciated Kreider. I've never been a huge Kreider fan, but it's really almost comical to look at the Islanders' goal line right now. He's got 15. Nobody else has more than 5. It's just been all him. So, it's, again, I'm sure teams are noticing that and they're trying to zero in on him. And obviously he's not working if he's still scoring like that. But, that would be my question, is the sustainability of that and what's going into that and how long can he keep that up?
Yeah. And 25% shooting percentage shots has gone in. That's crazy. And I mean, league average is usually like anywhere between 9 and 13 or 14.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The good goal scorers, pretty much, right? Rangers 14th in the NHL in scoring. They average 2.95 goals per game. Meanwhile, the Flyers, we know the struggles that they're having scoring right now. Boy, they could use a Kreider shooting at 25%. How about 2.45 goals per game for the Flyers and 26th in the NHL? I mean, they're surrounded by teams like the Kings. Good neighborhood to be in.
Yeah,
and the Flyers going to have to find ways to be able to score.
And that number you threw out too is almost starting to be misleading because there comes a time when your history is too long ago to be relevant, and the Flyers are quickly getting there with that 4-game run to start the season. You look at just their last 16 games, and they're under 2 goals per game. They're like a 1.93.
Wow,
and that is the problem that I'm. That's the thing that really is kind of bothering me, is that the Flyers can't seem to find the scoring that they had earlier on in the year. So I was sitting here trying to type something while we were discussing that. You mentioned 2.9-ish for the Rangers on the year. So that puts them right under 60 goals a year. That means Chris Kreider's accounted for approximately 26% of their goals.
Wow.
So that there's another number to kind of wow you with that. But we were talking about it before we started the show tonight. Just some of the numbers that we've seen from the Flyers in this last 16-game stretch just are not characteristic of what these guys usually are able to do. James Van Riemsdyk's got 4 points in the last 16 games. A bunch of other guys are 5, 6 guys that you would expect to at least be like 75. What am I trying to say? 0.75 points per game. So like a point out of every 3 out of every 4 games or something like that. That's usually what you would see from some of these guys, and just nobody is able to put the puck in the back of the net right now for whatever reason. It is spreading throughout the team. It's not just the power play anymore, because the power play was having struggles from the start, but now it's spread into all other aspects. So I don't know what the answer is, but I know that there's a lot of people a lot smarter than I am trying to figure it out, and hopefully they get there soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're facing a team tonight in the Rangers that is a team that is in the top 10 in goals allowed per game. They're number 9, 2.70 goals per game is what they're allowing. And they have one of the top goaltenders in the league. And he's a young guy and he's athletic. I remember last year watching the Ranger games and how well he came out and handled the puck. Start the breakout, and he was really good at it last year. It's Igor Shesterkin, 16 games, 11-3-2 on the season, a 933 save percentage. He's been really good so far this year.
And just from our own little world here, like we watch the Flyers obviously more than anything else, and usually where we only see really close looks at the other teams when the Flyers play them. And if you went off that, you would be surprised to hear that Igor Shesterkin is the guy that's run away with this job in New York, because over the last 3 years or some, we've seen the fade out of Henrik Lundqvist straight onto the set of TNT, and the oncoming, if you will, of first Alexander Georgiev, and then right behind him was Igor Shesterkin. And Georgiev is the one that's actually been better against the Flyers. He shut him out twice in 7 games, 1.85 goals against average. The Flyers have not had a ton of problem with Igor Shesterkin. He's 1-3 against the Flyers in 4 games with a 3.06 goals against average. But this year seems to be a different Igor Shesterkin. He seems to have figured out a few things, and definitely overall is playing a lot better than he has, at least against the Flyers. So yeah, it's going to be interesting tonight to see how the Flyers go up against a bit of a new and improved Igor Shesterkin. And I also love playing these guys just because no matter what goalie it is, you get to hear Steve Coates try to say his name, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, these are two names that Coates may struggle with tonight. Well, at least Earl Hershiser's not.
Yes, so Earl
But I
Hershiser
digress.
back in retirement.
Also known as Nico Hischier, but anyway, we kid because we love. The Rangers right now, 3rd in the division through 20 games. They've got 29 points. Like I said, they've won 3 straight games. Ahead of them is the Carolina Hurricanes and the Washington Capitals. And then it's 24 points, 4 points up on the Flyers, same amount of games played. Devils 2 points up, who we saw in that last one on Sunday. And the Flyers right now in the 7th spot, 8-8-4 is the record, 20 points. And in the bottom is the Islanders, but they've only played 17 games, but only 12 points, 2-8 in their last 10. They lost 8 straight games. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
And word came from the league today that they will resume their season in a couple of days. So that's good news for the Islanders to get it back underway. We'll see if they get their feet under them. The Flyers are going to look to do that tonight, Brian. They're going to look to do it with some very new look lines. First and foremost, welcome Kevin Hayes back to the lineup.
Yes, definitely big to see him, and we've talked in the past about what he brings to the team, not only on the ice but just in the locker room, just around the team, on the bench. I mean, you want to talk about one of your most valuable players in the league on the bench. It's probably somebody like Kevin Hayes. You look at you look at what all these guys do in the 10 to 20 minutes that they spend on the ice, but the rest of the time they're on the bench, and they are either sitting there being pretty much blending in, they're just kind of there, or you're Kevin Hayes, who is very much the opposite, always chattering, always talking, always getting a word in, stuff like that, encouraging things of that nature. So that's a big get, because you cannot do that from the press box. No matter if you're around the team in practice, if you're hanging out in the locker room before the game, during the game, if you're scratched, you can't stand behind the bench. It would be nice if you could, but he's got to go to the press box, so he is well removed for the entire game. So just getting him back in that atmosphere is going to be huge, and again, it allows the Flyers a little bit of additional flexibility when trying to break out of the scoring slump, just from the standpoint of what they can do with the rest of their personnel. If somebody like Hayes gets hurt, and then you got to move somebody up in the lineup, and really all you can do is plug in, somebody from the Phantoms or a healthy scratch in the 3rd or 4th line. But when you're able to put Hayes back in to that second center spot, now all of a sudden you've got a lot more flexibility when it comes to trying to find a scoring combination that works right now.
Yeah, and it just slots your team differently. He's going to center the 3rd line. Scott Lawton's going to move to the wing with Kevin Hayes and Travis Konechny. The top line is going to be Sean Couturier, Joel Farabee, and James Van Riemsdyk, it looks like. These are the projected lines, if you will. Morgan Frost going to center Claude Giroux and Cam Atkinson. So Frost playing with some highly skilled players, and Connor Bunneman will center the 4th line with Oscar Lindblom and Zach McEwen. Now, interesting here. Ristolainen, Yandel, and Braun, but I got to say, I didn't see Sealer at top pair defenseman coming anytime soon. I'm a little surprised by this move, but I guess Provorov and Ristolainen didn't work. Braun, they want to balance out Yandel a little bit, and Sealer is the next man up, and unless you're going to move Sanheim to the other side.
It's the next step. You can only rearrange 6 defensemen in so many different looks. It's a lot more difficult than 12 forwards. So, they like you said, tried a couple of times. They decided to see what Ristolainen looked like up there, and now they're going to go this route. And so, when it comes to your your top pairing. The one thing that you usually get from your top pairing is a lot of minutes. So does this mean that maybe the top pairing gets a little bit less time, and some of the other pairings get a little more time? Maybe that's where they go. The interesting thing to me over the last 4 or 5 games has been that Ivan Provorov has not been leading the Flyers in ice time. It's been Travis Sanheim. He's been on the, despite being on the line chart as the second pairing, he has been on the ice anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes more in the last 5 games on a game-by-game basis than Ivan Provorov has. So, I'm not sure what's going on there, if it's just a matchup thing or if it's intentional or what's going on there. But, when it comes to mixing these pairings up again, and again, they're looking for some rhythm too. And, that just like the forwards are trying to find something that'll work to score, the defense has kind of started to become less effective. We'll put it that way over the last few games. So just trying to find, again, something that works without being in a situation like last year where you're constantly mixing up the defensive pairings, trying to figure out, what's going to work on a given night. I don't know what exactly Ryan Ellis's status is, but I think it's going to be at least a couple of weeks. Yeah, so they've got a lot of games to get through before they even think of getting him back. And so they've got to try to find something to settle things down, at least temporarily.
Yeah, and I might have the world's worst internet connection tonight, so I apologize to everybody. It's just, I don't know what's going on. There's not storms or anything, but it sucks tonight. Valley as a result, and good to see Kevin Hayes back as well. Carter Hart will get the start for the Flyers tonight. Record of 5-5-3. It's crazy that his record's 5-5-3, and he's played as well as he has. 920 save percentage and a 257 goals against average, and it'll be Hart versus Shesterkin tonight. Brian, one of the things, Chuck Fletcher spoke yesterday, and he talked about, some of the guys. He mentioned that Ryan Ellis is week to week. And he also mentioned that, Ellis being out of the lineup really does affect the team and their ability to get that first pass out of the zone, defend, and also transition into offense quickly and efficiently in the fourth. That was the case, but he also said that one player shouldn't sink your team, and that everybody on the team, players, coaches, everybody needs to be better, and they got to find more some way, and that's got to start tonight.
Yeah,
they may be beyond the pivot point of a season, but tonight is paramount to come out and play this team and come. I don't care what the result is. I don't care if you play well and lose. You got to come out. You got to get a win.
Right. I will say this, that I think the reaction to word coming out that Chuck Fletcher was holding a press conference, the reaction from those outside the immediate day-to-day Flyers beat, that kind of gives you an indication of where the rest of the world is looking at the Flyers right now, because everybody freaked out. Everybody thought something was going on. Again, I say the folks, it wasn't even outside the city. It was, even the folks that aren't around the team on a day-to-day basis. One of the writers that isn't at practices every day tweeted out that there was going to be a press conference. The press conference, I believe, had been scheduled for a week, but he didn't know that, and so when he tweeted it out, the world kind of started wondering what was going on. So that tells you everything you need to know there. But I think Chuck made several good points in that. In that press conference. One of them was he'd like to see how good we are with what we have. Again, the Flyers have not lost a ton of players, but the ones that they have lost are pretty key enough to kind of throw yourself out of sync right now. So, there's limited things that you can do as a general manager when your team is not playing well and you're not sure why. And replacing the coaches, that's the nuclear option. I don't know why my phone is dinging, but replacing the coaches is the nuclear option. That's your absolute last resort. And another good point that Chuck made was that you can tell the difference between players that still believe they can do something and are just frustrated that things aren't going right versus players that don't believe that they can right the ship. And he does not see the latter there. He sees the former. So that tells me that there's something there that, again, I don't know that, that anything that we've seen in the last 10 to 12 games is necessarily reflective of what we're going to see here for the next 60. But, it does wonder if the leash is shortening a little bit. If the Flyers were another 5-6 points ahead of where they are right now and things weren't going right, maybe you wait until January to make a final decision. But you're getting to the point now where if things don't start to turn around in December, you got to start wondering, okay, what are we going to do here? Are we going to bring somebody up? Are we going to make a trade? What are we going to do? So, there was a lot there, and I think a lot of context also applied to how everything's going around this team right now, and just things that don't get talked about, and when they don't, people start echoing things in their own head, and then it's kind of snowballs from there. I think that maybe hopefully calmed it down a little bit.
Yeah, and people are upset. They want a body.
Yeah.
They want a head, and and people are frustrated. I mean, it's funny because when the team started out well in the beginning of the year, I had people DMing me saying that they're going to win the cup. And then when you lose 2 or 3 in a row, they're the worst team in the world. That's the emotion.
Yeah.
I remember when the Flyers won the 3 games in the bubble, the 3
Oh,
exhibition games. Everybody had people were freaking out. So
it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Yeah, we're going to join our radio audience here in a mere moment as we get set to broadcast on 93.3 WMMR.
I'm glad you're paying attention.
And Brian Smith as well, as we get you ready for Flyers Rangers coming up at the top of the hour. Tim Saunders and Steve Coates will bring you all the action. Brian Smith and I will get you ready for said action. Kevin Hayes. Is that going to be a punch in the arm, or is this, kind of a tenuous watch of Kevin Hayes tonight, Brian? Because him coming back, he did come back already once, left a game early, and then has missed several games after, slightly tweaking that injury. But this is now another time he's coming back, and I know he's looked good in practice. He said he feels better now than he felt all of last season. So this is a tenuous watch to watch Kevin Hayes, but they could use him.
Yeah, this is that press conference that he gave this morning was, that was interesting to me just from the standpoint of this thing apparently was not something that just cropped up in training camp. It was something he was dealing with last year. It sounds like, and it, I maybe tried to work on it in the offseason. He alluded to the fact, and I may have missed this, that possibly he had surgery on this at the end of last season or some sort of surgery, and so when he came back from the offseason and got into full out training, something didn't feel right, so they had it fixed again. And maybe it's just a matter of they missed it the first time, or didn't quite get everything the first time, whatever they decided to fix, and this time they did. But the fact that he's feeling, it says he's feeling really good right now is promising. You hope that whatever the issue is doesn't crop itself up in game action. But this is a breath of fresh air that the Flyers really need right now, and they would really prefer not to lose it again for another week to 10 days.
Yeah, Wade Allison also was sent to the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. That's good news. He could be on his way to the Flyers. And, one of the things Chuck Fletcher spoke about in his media availability yesterday was the struggles of the power play. You and I have spoken about it, Bri, ad nauseum here on the pregame show and on the broadcast. And it's been talked about, obviously, a ton. And one of the things he mentioned was not having a flank shooter. Wade Allison is actually a very good shooter. He was deployed last year more in a net front role on the power play when he was bumped up to the power play, but he is a guy that is a flank shooter. But the power play needs on, and something like that is a key element to the power play. Having a guy that can bury it, like Cam Atkinson as well, who needs to bury on the man.
Yeah, I mean, there's key elements all over the place. The flank shooter is one of them. The guy at the point that can get an effective shot through, that's another. And then the net front guy. There's all sorts of stuff that can go into a successful power play. But for years the Flyers have had a lot of playmakers, a lot of puck movers, a lot of flank passers, and we've seen all the instances where there's tick tack, and nobody does the toe. It's just
Yeah.
nobody ever finishes it. So you're hoping that that if Wade Allison gets back, that he can provide a little bit of that. I think Derek Brassard was providing a little bit of that as well, to a lesser extent. But I think he was doing that a little bit as well before he got hurt. So that is that is a pretty specific need. And while it's something that you can look at and say, okay, we're going to address this, then maybe it's hard to find somebody like that. Maybe it's hard to pinpoint exactly who you want, make sure they're available, get them at the right price, all that sort of thing. So that's why I'm wondering too. I mean, I don't know to what extent they build the power play around the personnel that they have, but if you don't have a flank shooter, is there another type of power play structure you can use where it's not as pronounced that you need one? Because that's what we're not getting right now is those guys on either side of the box and one, just not really getting good looks across, whether it's diagonally or straight across or even to the net. They're just not getting those looks. So maybe something that they look at. I don't know, but Wade Allison would be a good fit for that.
Yeah, there's just not a whole puck movement. NHL is so much about that east-west, getting the goalie to move from one side of his net to the other, open his body in doing so. It just upgrades the scoring chances dramatically. And we've seen, I did a little homework after the last game, and we're just looking at some analytics sites to see high danger chances. And the last time the Flyers out high danger chanced in opposition was the last game they won against Calgary. And, really doing a good job of getting those east-west passes, one-time shots, screenshots from the dangerous areas, hence the high danger chances. And they just haven't done nearly enough of that lately. They've been such a perimeter team in the offensive zone, and having a guy like Kevin Hayes who can go into those dirty areas with a bigger body helps. But other guys still got to be willing to go there. James Van Riemsdyk is a guy that has to go to those areas and has to be effective.
An NHL season is always about ebbs and flows. It's a matter of a team playing well for stretches, and then there's going to be stretches that they don't play well. And a lot of times what you see is the last game before, or last win before a stretch like this starts is a game where the team doesn't play well, but they win anyway, which I don't know if that's the case with the Calgary game. But, when you get to the end of it, usually what happens is a team plays well enough to have won the game, but they don't. And then the next game it kind of breaks away and they go from there. So, it's hopeful that at the very least we get that from the Flyers tonight. We get a solid 3-period effort. We get giving this Rangers team a game, and maybe it doesn't come out the way that they hope, but the effort needs to be there tonight. Result being whatever it is, and they need to start working toward getting out of this.
Yeah, and Flyers, Rangers, a lot of history here tonight between these two teams, and recent history last year. The Rangers handed to the Flyers a couple of times last year in embarrassing fashion, and the Flyers reeling right now, losers of 6 straight, and the Rangers. They're standing by at Madison Square Garden. They're going to bring you the countdown to face off, all the first period action. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Enjoy your hockey, everybody.
This is Flyers Hockey on 93.3 WMMR.
Yeah, I know Timmy's sitting here because
right.
This box is I know Timmy's sitting because this press box is has a funny story behind it because it's new. It's only a few years old. And when we got there for the first time, they have these stools. And when you sit at these stools, your knees hit the counter. The stools are too high. So the next time we went there, Timmy came with a hacksaw, and he cut the legs off the stool to an extent. Made it about 8 inches shorter.
What, to match his height? 8 inches shorter?
Yeah, exactly. So now there's a stool that lives in the MSG press box that's Timmy sized.
Oh, my. Real quick for the guys here on the stream saying about DeBrusk, the package of like Don Vito, a high pick, and probably Lindblom and York or Zamula. Dude, that's way too much for Jake DeBrusk.
That's all that you threw in there? I thought you were stopping at Lindblom.
That's way too much, man. DeBrusk has 3 goals and 3 assists. Everybody in the world knows he's asked for a trade. You're not giving up any prospect that means anything.
I guess everybody else sees you freeze too. I don't know. Like now you're just staring at us. And usually it's done by now. Oh my.
All right, now I'm back.
There you are. Hey.
I don't know. Maybe I just got a bad connection tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but that one lasted longer than normal.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's end it. We'll see everybody post game.
All right. Have a good night. Enjoy the game.